what's going on, everybody? This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Today is Sunday, January the 20th, 2019. I am live streaming right now on Twitch, so thanks for anybody who is checking the show out live for the first time. Just kind of testing it out because, as I've mentioned a few times the last couple of weeks, next Sunday, January 27th, I am going to be doing a live stream of my Royal Rumble viewing party going on at Nighthawks Coffee Bar and Tavern right here in Chicago, right at the intersection of Kimball Avenue and Lawrence Avenue, across the street from the Brown Line station, starting at 6 p.m. Central Time. If you're in Chicago, you should come on by, check it out. It's going to be a great time. And if you're not in Chicago, check it out on Twitch right here on twitch.tv/catchhookshoot. I'm not going to be streaming the pay-per-view itself on Twitch. That would get me shut down real quick. But, if you're just kind of bored with the usual Michael Cole commentary and everything, hey, check out the show on Twitch. It's going to be me and my buddy Rich. Doing our thing, giving our own kind of commentary, and just having some fun with it. Not going to be reading off any scripts or being real formal about it or anything. Just real live reactions to what's going on, and it should be a lot of fun. So thanks to everybody who has been listening, watching, checking out the show. As always, you can find it on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and right here on Twitch, where I am streaming live right now for the first time. So, and I hope everybody's following on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and all that fun stuff. And if you ever want to send an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So let's get into what's going on here in the wonderful world of pro wrestling this week. It's probably going to be a relatively short show this week, just because I am, like I said, testing out the live stream for the first time. But a lot of stuff going on Raw this week. We saw Braun Strowman was removed from the Universal Championship match at the Royal Rumble by Vince McMahon. Now on screen, he was removed for basically destroying Vince's limo and kind of mouthing off to him when Vince tried to fine him $100,000. Supposedly what's being reported is the real reason that Braun has been removed from the title match at the Rumble is because he basically tried to come back faster than he should have from his elbow surgery that he had a few weeks ago, and ended up aggravating the injury and making it worse and prolonging his recovery time. Supposedly, the article that I read, the rumor that's circulating is his doctors and everything gave him a very strict physical therapy regimen to keep him on track for a 4-week recovery time, and he basically tried to overdo it, re-aggravated the injury, and he's still not been medically cleared because apparently that in-ring segment, that face-to-face deal with him and Brock Lesnar a couple weeks ago was supposed to end up in a brawl between the two of them, but obviously that didn't happen because Braun, as I just said, is not medically cleared. So it is what it is. So as a result of that, we have a new Universal Championship challenger for Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, and that is Finn Balor. Won a fatal 4-way match against John Cena, Baron Corbin, and Drew McIntyre. Got the pin on John Cena. John Cena basically kind of putting his stamp of approval on Balor, and just really, really putting him over. And so I'm hoping, I think it'll be a really good match with Lesnar and Balor. I'm hoping we will see the Demon Finn Balor come out for this match. Now, whether Finn is able to win the Universal title or not is up in the air. I would love to see that, but I think Brock Lesnar will probably retain the Universal title going into WrestleMania. But, we'll have to see. Supposedly WWE is supposed to be listening to their fans more, according to the McMahon family. So, like I said, I would really like to see Balor come away with the Universal title and just kind of, shake up the whole Raw Championship picture. Speaking of the Raw Championship picture, we have a new Intercontinental Champion in Bobby Lashley. Defeated Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins in a triple threat match. Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks were victorious in a tag team match, and then had a little bit of an in-ring segment with Ronda kind of complimenting then insulting Sasha, and it wasn't the prettiest thing to watch, but it got the point across. And this coming week on Raw, There's going to be another tag team match, Ronda Rousey and Natalia versus Sasha Banks and Bayley. So that should be a great match. Also saw the debut of some of the call-ups from NXT on both Raw and SmackDown this week, mostly in backstage segments. But yeah, we saw Nikki Cross, EC3, Heavy Machinery, and Lacey Evans all at some point during both shows. The only one who actually had a match was Nikki Cross, and so yeah, it'll be interesting. They're kind of playing these guys as free agents right now, so we'll have to see where they end up. Um, yeah, the only one that we haven't seen so far, and that unfortunately we may not see for quite a while, is Lars Sullivan. Now, he was apparently supposed to debut on Raw a couple of weeks ago and ended up basically he had a panic attack. He apparently suffers from some type of anxiety disorder, which I can relate to, and had a panic attack, wasn't able to perform on the show, wasn't able to show up at SmackDown the next night, and obviously wasn't at Raw this past week either. Now, I've seen a lot of people being really critical of Lars Sullivan online for this, and you know, those are obviously people that have never dealt with any of these kind of issues, because it's not a matter of oh, you need to get over it and go do your job. It's not that simple, guys. It's really not. Like I said, it's something that I personally can relate to. I've been dealing with anxiety and panic disorder for a little over a year, and it's not something you can control. You can be just fine going about your daily routine one minute, and the next minute you're scared to death of something, you have no idea why. And it some people like myself can get it under control just with mental and breathing exercises, and some therapy and meditation and exercise and things like that is what works for me. Other people need medication. It's not a fun thing to deal with. So I can definitely sympathize with Lars Sullivan. I'm hoping that this hasn't ruined whatever kind of push he was supposed to get, because he is a damn good performer in that ring. He's a monster heel, and yeah, like I said, I feel for him, and I hope he's able to get things under control and get back on track, and make his debut at some point in the future. So good luck to Lars Sullivan, because it really would be horrible to see his career derailed because of something like this that's completely out of his own control. But on to some other things going on Raw. We also saw the unveiling of the long-awaited women's tag team championships during the Alexa Bliss Moment of Bliss segment. She had Paul Heyman out there to talk about Brock Lesnar and the match coming up at Royal Rumble and everything, and got interrupted by Otis Dozovich, which was kind of odd. It was a strange segment, to say the least. But I think the big takeaway from that was the unveiling of the women's tag team championships, and those are going to be decided at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view coming up after the Royal Rumble. And it's going to be 3 teams from Raw, 3 teams from SmackDown in the Elimination Chamber, and the winners of that match will be the first WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Now, this is really a reintroduction of the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, because there was, quite some time ago, there was a Women's Tag Team Championship in WWE. If any of you guys can remember back to a team called the Jumping Bomb Angels from Japan. Prior to them, the Glamour Girls, Leilani Kai and Judy Martin. So WWE has had a Women's Tag Team Championship before, so this is really kind of a reintroduction, but they're not presenting it that way, which is fine. They want it to be new. I'm sure it's going to be a different lineage and things like that. So, but yeah, like it was announced, 3 teams from Raw, 3 from SmackDown. I mean, there are, not a lot, but there's definitely plenty of teams out there to round out that match. Of course, you got Sasha Banks and Bayley. You've got Nia Jax and Tamina, the Riot Squad, Ronda Rousey and Natalia, the Iconics, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, possibly Naomi and Asuka, Charlotte and Becky Lynch. I think would be an interesting one. It'd be kind of cool to see the last 2 teams in that Elimination Chamber come down to Charlotte and Becky versus Bayley and Sasha. So we'll have to see exactly how those teams shape up going into this championship Elimination Chamber match. And on the SmackDown side, really kind of the big story over the last couple of weeks has been the situation with Jimmy Uso, Naomi, and Mandy Rose. With Mandy kind of, playing the part of the home wrecker and things like that. And I guess Naomi and Mandy have a match coming up this week on SmackDown to kind of settle their score. So we'll see what else comes out of that. Also on SmackDown, there was a name change apparently that took place with Andrade Cien Almas now just going by Andrade. Um, they dropped the last part of his name, which it's not a huge deal. I get that. I don't understand why they do it. And I posted on Twitter. It's like I don't know what Vince McMahon has against last names, because he seems to do this quite a bit. I mean, Apollo Crews was changed to simply Apollo for a little while. Now he's back to being Apollo Crews. Cesaro, of course, used to be Antonio Cesaro. So in other cases like that. So I just wonder why it's done sometimes, because it just seems kind of random, or just kind of out of left field. So, but it is what it is. A lot of stuff going on online this week, talking about some of the segments with Mandy Rose and with Alexa Bliss. Of course, the one with Alexa Bliss on Raw was her production assistant or whoever it was bringing her coffee barged into her dressing room, and she basically wasn't dressed, but and the thing with Mandy Rose, like I said, playing kind of the homewrecker role, and coming out and just wearing a towel, or luring Jimmy Uso to her hotel room where she's just wearing lingerie or something like that. It's entertainment. It's a television show. It's storylines, and I said it online a few times this week. You see a lot more graphic, risque kind of stuff on television shows, other television shows on a weekly basis. Why is it a big deal when the WWE does it? I still yet to get an answer to that question, but a lot of people complaining that, well, the WWE is going backwards. They're going to start going back to the Divas division. No, they're not. They're never going to take it back to the Attitude Era or the days of the quote-unquote Divas with the Santa's Little Helper matches and bikini contest. It's not going to happen. And I mean, the thing with Alexa Bliss, you basically, you saw her back. I'm sorry, that's not a big deal. I mean, yeah, it was kind of a pointless scene. It was, I guess you could say it was gratuitous, but it's not like it was overly graphic. She was completely covered in the front. You saw her bare back. That to me is not really anything to get too terribly twisted out of shape about. But that's just me. People want to take things to extremes and just get offended and get all up in arms over, in this case, basically nothing. So again, it is what it is. So moving on from there, some of the bigger stories going around this week are WWE superstars asking for their releases. Primarily among those is the Revival. And from what I've read, Vince McMahon has denied that request. Apparently, they're under contract until 2020. So it doesn't look like they're going to be allowed to go anywhere. Basically, it was just because, supposedly, because they're just unhappy with not just with their spot, but with the kind of the status of the entire Raw tag team division. I mean, the tag team champions are not featured every week. Tag team wrestling is kind of almost like an afterthought on Raw a lot of the times, and apparently they were just kind of fed up with it and said, we'd like to go elsewhere. But by all accounts, that request was denied. Which, hopefully they'll start elevating the tag team division a little bit, especially with the women's tag team division coming into play and getting so much attention lately. Hopefully that'll elevate the men's tag team division as well. It's one of those things we'll just have to wait and see. Now, speaking of the tag team division, it looks like the Bludgeon Brothers are going to be making their return sometime soon, Rowan and Harper. So that will definitely kind of give a boost to the men's tag team division. And another supposed couple that asked for their release was Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. Now, Maria did go online and flat out denied those rumors, saying they did not ask for their release, but they, haven't exactly been silent about their dissatisfaction with kind of where they're at in the company, and who could blame them? Mike Bennett's not getting a huge push. But he was, you have to remember too, he was out for quite a while, obviously for very good reason. Was going through rehab, got himself clean, sober, and by all accounts is doing fantastic. If you follow him on social media, he's gotten himself in the greatest physical shape that I've ever seen him in. So, I think in that case, it might just be a matter of patience on their part. They just kind of want to move things slowly. But yeah, like I said, Maria did go online, denied them asking for their release. So, again, kind of like the Revival, they're going to be staying right where they're at. Another interesting one is Dolph Ziggler. Now, he didn't ask for his release, so to speak, but by all accounts, Ziggler's been kind of working on handshake deals and contract extensions for the last few years. And I guess the WWE offered him a position as a producer rather than a new contract as a wrestler, and he apparently turned that offer down. So it's looking like he is probably done with WWE, and I'd be curious to see where he lands after this. Because if he does want to continue with his wrestling career, I mean, he's got a million options out there. I'm sure Impact would love to have him. Ring of Honor would love to have him. I'm sure AEW, he'd fit in really nicely there as well. He'd be another pretty big name for them to sign. So, he can go pretty much wherever he wants if, in fact, he is done with the WWE. Now, also, he has gone back to his real name, Nick Nemeth, on his Twitter account. So that is kind of another indicator that he may be leaving Dolph Ziggler and the WWE behind him. And he also, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, has a career as a stand-up comedian, and it's something that looks like he's very passionate about, something he really loves doing. So he may walk away from wrestling altogether for a while and just focus on that part of his career. So who knows? But I'm hoping he will land somewhere in a wrestling ring in the future, because he's supremely talented. Never seen a bad Dolph Ziggler match, and you know definitely deserves a top spot somewhere if he does wind up going elsewhere to continue his wrestling career. Another kind of interesting note is the Mexican luchador named Rush has signed an exclusive contract with Ring of Honor. Now, he has been making appearances for MLW the last couple of months, so it's kind of interesting that he signed with Ring of Honor. I know there's been a little bit of back and forth between Court Bauer, the owner of MLW, and Ring of Honor. MLW basically accusing ROH of trying to poach their talent, and some kind of underhanded tactics, and I'm sure this falls right into that same category. So, and I hate to see two good wrestling companies kind of going this route, because I think as far as any independent companies go, which I don't know if you'd really call ROH and MLW independents, because they do, they have major television deals and things like that, but I guess two companies outside of WWE would be the best way to put it if you're not going to call them independents. Kind of having a rivalry like this, because I think one of the really great things about the independent scene in wrestling, whether it's and I'm using independent as a blanket term for anything outside of WWE. So, I mean, if we're talking about like CMLL or AAA in Mexico, or New Japan, All Japan, MLW, ROH, Impact, the great thing about it is a lot of those companies will work together and share talent and allow their talent to go back and forth and perform for other companies. And, so you don't have to just follow one company to see your favorite wrestlers. You can see them pretty much anywhere, and I think that that's one of the great things about the independent scene. And to see two of those companies really kind of not at each other's throats, but kind of button heads or in some type of rivalry like this over talent is really kind of sad. And I hope it's something that can get resolved at some point, because I think that's pretty much every wrestling fan's dream, is that all of the companies outside of WWE at least can work together and use the same kind of talent, so that you can see stars on different shows and things like that. But yeah, for right now, like I said, it looks like Rush has signed with Ring of Honor, so MLW is kind of left out of that one, kind of got the raw end of the deal on that one, which is really kind of not cool if that was the case, if it was kind of an underhanded move by Ring of Honor. But moving on from there, some other interesting notes going around online. Rumor is that WWE is doubling contract offers for any wrestler that can show them a written offer from an outside company. So let's say if we're talking about Dolph Ziggler, if Dolph Ziggler can come back and say, "Hey, I got a $2 million offer from AEW," WWE is going to come back and say, "Okay, we'll give you four." Now, how much truth there is in that, I don't know. Is it plausible? Yeah, absolutely. I could see that with, and this is for guys whose contracts are coming up, soon, who are able to negotiate and talk to other companies. This isn't going to apply to somebody who's under contract until like, 2022 or something like that. But if somebody has a contract coming up in the next 6 months and they've gotten an offer from somebody else, WWE apparently has said, we'll double it if you'll re-sign right here on the spot. So, like I said, I don't know how much truth there is to that, but that's definitely an interesting note. And something else going on with WWE. This was today, as a matter of fact, starting at noon Eastern time today. WWE started releasing the names of the participants in the Women's Royal Rumble match on their Twitter page. They announced this yesterday, and they didn't get a great response from it. I mean, immediately people are like, we don't want this. Why are you doing this? We like the surprise factor, and I that's something I agree with. That's the Royal Rumble is my favorite match pay-per-view of the year. For exactly that reason. I love the surprise factor. I love not knowing who's coming out next, or who might be some older names coming back just for an appearance or something like that. Now they didn't announce all 30. They announced the name every half hour for a couple of hours and then cut it off. But yeah, I mean I'm hoping that's it. I want to say they announced maybe 8 to 10 names. I don't know. I didn't follow the whole thing because I didn't, I want that surprise factor. Uh, but yeah, so I'm hoping they kind of end it there and don't pick it up again tomorrow or anything like that, and just kind of leave it alone. Because, like I said, people like the surprise factor. I think a vast majority of people, that's one of their favorite things about the Royal Rumble, is the number of surprises that you get, not knowing who's coming next or even who all is actually in the thing. So hopefully they're done with that, like I said. So that's pretty much all I got for this week. Like I said, a little bit of a shortened program today because I wanted to test out the live stream. Hopefully everybody can see and hear me all right, because this is where I will be streaming live next Sunday. Now next week's podcast I'm going to be dropping on Saturday, and it's just basically going to be a preview for NXT TakeOver Phoenix and the Royal Rumble, breaking down both cards, um, going over whatever matches are signed, and going through the Royal Rumble participants that are known up to that point. And then, of course, next Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time, once again, I will be broadcasting live from Nighthawk Coffee Bar and Tavern right here in Chicago during the Royal Rumble. Like I said, starting at 6 p.m. so Central Time, so starting right when the pay-per-view starts. Not doing the kickoff show, just when the main show starts. That's when I'll be doing my live stream here with my buddy Rich. We'll be basically calling the action, giving our own opinions on it. I again will not be streaming the actual event on the Twitch channel, because that would be copyright infringement and get me shut down real quick. But we will be having a viewing party. Like I said, it's at Nighthawk Coffee Bar and Tavern. Let me get that address here for you guys. Yeah, if you're in Chicago, you want to come out and join the viewing party, and yeah, just have a few drinks, watch the show. It's 4744 North Kimball Avenue in Chicago. Again, it's Nighthawk Coffee Bar and Tavern, right at the intersection of Kimball Avenue and Lawrence Avenue, right across the street from the Brown Line station. Starting at 6 p.m. There's no cover charge. Just, come in, sit down, have a few drinks. It's a really great, neighborhood bar, one of my favorite places to hang out. And yeah, come out, watch the show with us. Maybe maybe get on camera, give your own opinions a little bit. We'll see how everything's going. See if anybody wants to have a little cameo on the show or anything like that. And yeah, for anybody who's watching on Twitch, we'll be welcoming any questions, comments, whatever in the chat. Feel free to chime in with whatever you think, or anything you want to know. I'm gonna have a few little Royal Rumble trivia questions lined up, so it should be a lot of fun. I'm thinking it's gonna be a really good time. So I hope anybody in the Chicago area can come out and join us for the viewing party, and anybody not in Chicago, join us right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/catchhookshoot. Put the Rumble on your TV, hit mute, and watch along with us, and listen to our commentary if you're not into listening to Michael Cole for 3.5, 4 hours, whatever it might be. So once again, thanks everybody for checking out the show. You can find it on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and right here on Twitch for everybody who's watching live right now. On social media, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Just search Catch Hook Shoot. You'll be able to find the pages. And if you ever want to drop an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. Questions, comments, suggestions, anything under the sun. I'd love to hear from any of you guys with any kind of opinions or anything like that on the show. And so yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up for right now. Like I said, next week's episode will drop on Saturday with the preview for NXT TakeOver Phoenix and the Royal Rumble. And next Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Time, live on Twitch, twitch.tv/catchhookshoot. We'll be having our live Royal Rumble viewing party. So hope everybody will check that out. Thank you guys for watching and listening. And yeah, this I've got to say, January has been the biggest month I've ever had so far as downloads for the podcast. And the month is only about halfway over so far, so it's really kind of blown me away, just how many listeners I've got right now. And yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much. I hope you're enjoying the show. I'm having a blast making it and putting it out every week. So thank you to everybody who has, been, who's taken the time to listen and to watch and everything. It really, really means a lot to me, because I do have a great time putting the show together for you guys every week. So that's going to do it for right now. Make sure you check out the new show next Saturday, and make sure you tune into twitch.tv/catchhookshoot next Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time for our live Royal Rumble viewing party. So until then, hope everybody has a good week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.